I was raised in a kind of just total chaos. That's why the world doesn't bother me that much. I'll get mad at certain things, but I don't respond to it with panic or curling up in a fetal position. I stand up and I'm ready to fight back because that's how I was raised.
So the word disabilities, we think of it, it's a guy in a wheelchair, right?
There
Or
you
a
go.
girl
I
in a
like
wheelchair.
that depth. I like that depth.
It goes far beyond that, but we all have disabilities in certain contexts, right? If somebody's
True.
5 feet tall, in the context of becoming a player in the NBA, their height is a disability. If they want to be an acrobat or an American Ninja Warrior, now it's their superpower. So it's, for me, disability is all about context. And in the context of being successful and educated and well-rounded, I would call your upbringing a bit of a disability.
Yeah, all of those, yes.
For anybody that hasn't watched Norman Rockwell is Bleeding or the many, many, many hours of the retelling of your childhood, what's the 5-minute version, just so people get a sense of where it is that you originally came from?
My mom, my parents were a mentally ill genius, and was my mom, and then an alcoholic, hardworking badass. That was my dad. And when I say badass, I mean it in good and bad ways. So I was raised in a kind of just total chaos. That's why the world doesn't bother me that much. I'll get mad at certain things, but I don't respond to it with panic or curling up in a fetal position. I stand up and I'm ready to fight back because that's how I was raised. So mom was mentally ill. Mom had a 185 IQ, spoke 4 languages, played concert piano, and was crazy as a shithouse rat. She actually shot and killed her 3rd husband. She she showed up to my high school graduation in an army jacket, white vinyl go-go boots, and that was it. So I've lived a weird life. My dad started drinking at beer o'clock. Noon is beer o'clock. I was driving him home from this place called the Pizza Shack when I was, 9, 10 years old because he'd been drinking too much, which is weird. It was such a weird integrity in my father. He would drink so much he couldn't drive, but he had taught me to drive so early. He's like, I'm going to let you drive home. You're not licensed, but I'm pretty hammered and you're 9, but you can handle it better than I can. So he had an odd integrity. He had it was such a, delusional integrity, but my dad had this weird kind of integrity. So I was raised by those people. Divorce was bad. Ran away when I was 12, and lived with my mom, and everything my dad had been talking about my whole life about her. Because there was things like I was left with relatives. My sister on my mom's side, my mom dropped off her friends one time and just disappeared for 3 weeks, and they found her in a doorway in San Francisco. She covered in her own menstrual blood, and that's the phone call we got when I was and I'm a teenager at that point, and it was just, things got out of hand all the time, and I'm so used to that now. So when I lived with her, we got evicted 3 times. At one point, I got, the sheriff be like, "Hey man, so you gotta move out." I'm like, "Oh, how's it going, Doug?" I'm saying a 12-year-old shouldn't know the sheriff is what I'm saying. And then I would correct the form. This form isn't exactly right. Could you fill this out again? So you shouldn't know that at 12. So my upbringing was chaotic. I was a DF student, and then one day I remember being 5 years old. I went to sleep listening to Bill Cosby, and I decided to be a comedian when I was 5. And then kind of after that, nothing else really mattered. I lived my life, and telling people at 5 you're going to be a comedian is like telling them you're going to be an astronaut or a cowboy. They don't care.
I'm not sure that that's actually even as good as that. That seems even exactly. Because if you do become an astronaut, well, then that's amazing. If you do become a comedian, is that still a good thing? I don't know, right?
They have to make up at family gatherings. They have to make up another job that you do. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so my parental upbringing was pretty. Listen, man. This is when I start to get into a gray area. People tell me, "Oh, I feel so bad you were raised like that." But if you look what I did with it, I couldn't be where I am without being raised by that. So when people have sympathy, or they're like, "Oh my God, what a horrible upbringing," it was just my upbringing. I think there's so many things in life that I didn't get here in spite of. I got here because of it. because now I know, because like comedy, 2% of people make it in show business, 2%. And I've been in it for 40 years. And whether, I'm not Dave Chappelle famous, not Dave Chappelle rich, but I make a good living doing what I love. And without the chaotic insanity of my life, I don't think I could handle the chaotic insanity of show business. So I never, it was just my life. So many people take their lives and they keep looking backwards at it. Like, oh my God, look how I was raised. This is why I do that now. Well, if you know that, why are you still doing that? If you know that if you continue to blame the past for your present and your future, you're never going to get anywhere. You got to turn and just look at the future, pick a thing. And in spite of whatever you think happened to you, whatever you think has gone wrong, look at the future and go, that's where I'm going. Yeah, but what about the past? Past is over. Doesn't matter. Can't fix it. Can't change it. That's where I'm going. That's how I kind of try to live.